me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Be present. You know, you're there for a reason. Your agency paid money for you to go to attend this event, so make sure that you're doing your part and being active and engaged throughout that whole time.
Yeah, it really is. Those experiences are what you make of it and how much your time you put into it. Yeah, 100% support that. Networking on the social events, because it's those relationships that you build that will really serve you later.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we explore the incredible impact of parks and recreation on communities. Today, we're shining a spotlight on an innovative model in the industry, the Valdosta Lowndes County Parks and Recreation Authority in Georgia. This unique authority serves both the city and county, providing a comprehensive range of services that truly make a difference. From 8 to 80 years old, they manage a massive youth sports program, including baseball, softball, soccer, basketball, football, and volleyball, reaching an estimated 3,000 to 5,000 children annually. Beyond that, they offer a dedicated therapeutics division for individuals with special needs and physical or mental disabilities, alongside robust programs for seniors. Joining us today is Chandler Nobles, a dedicated young professional who's been contributing to this incredible department for 5 years. He'll share insights into the day-to-day operations that keep these vital community services thriving. Stay tuned to learn more about the future of parks and recreation and the passionate individuals building.
All right. We are live again. This is Craig LeBlanc, the doorman, with the Daily Parks and Rec Show for our Friday show, Young Professionals Network. I have special guests with me from Georgia, Chandler Nobles. Is that correct? Last name is Nobles?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Yeah. So, well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today. This show is dedicated 52 shows a year to just create a space for young professionals, interns. You're in the bucket of first few years in Parks and Rec. So this is your 5th year full-time employed?
Yes. So I just hit my 5-year mark last month, actually. So very new to the profession still trying to grab my footing on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. So tell me about how did you get involved in Parks and Rec? Were you like a park rat, or did you kind of born into this industry, or what's the history there?
Yeah. So really, I kind of found Parks and Rec when I was in college. I grew up lifelong athlete, played all the sports through our local Parks and Rec. Played baseball, basketball, a little bit of soccer. So once I got to college, I was a business major, and I was like, well, I don't see me sitting at a desk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So discovered Parks and Rec major at East Carolina, and never looked back. So got really involved when I was in college, and just seen all the opportunities and different things you can do in the space. So.
Did you change your majors in college, or you kept that business major?
Yeah, so changed majors, I think my sophomore year, like after the first semester of sophomore year, switched from business to parks and recreation management. So I was still kind of early on, so I didn't really have to take any extra classes or anything like that. Right. So I was able to keep a lot of my gen ed credits and everything. So it was a pretty smooth transition from business to the parks and rec side.
And what year again did you change your majors?
I was sophomore, probably. It was right after, so spring semester of sophomore year, I became full-time Parks and Rec major.
Okay, so then tell me about what was the class schedule like? What kind of classes did they have you take? Oh, and then what was the name of the major at that university?
So at East Carolina, it was Recreation and Park Management. I think since I graduated, they've changed it to Recreation Sciences. As far as the classes go, we did a lot of different stuff. We had classes where we focused on like master plans and planning. We had some marketing classes, general like maintenance or supervision type courses, some experiential learning classes as well. So really to get out in the field and be able to do some really cool stuff.
Now,
a
what did that look like? So they allowed you to kind of outside the classroom setting, you got to go experience some actual Parks and Rec department activities.
Yeah, so we would go out, we would do site visits all across the park system there in Pitt County, North Carolina. We'll get to meet with park staff, ask them any questions, get the tour of the facilities, ask questions about different maintenance, whether it be a baseball field versus a soccer field, just very generalized stuff like that. Just pretty cool, need to know stuff as someone who, wouldn't know it, just kind of entering that field.
Yeah. I'm curious, what kind of maintenance stuff were you exposed to back then?
So through the Parks and Rec major, we had to get a certain allotment of volunteer hours each year. So we did between maintenance and volunteer like programming, helping set up programs, kind of orchestrating, like whether it be camps or anything like that. I took it a bit of a step further. So I actually got into, aside from the school maintenance piece, the site visits and different things that we would do, I got a job with the university, and I was on the maintenance and grounds crew for our intramural sports wing. So I got to get really hands-on, learn a lot about field maintenance, mowing, painting fields, working on irrigation systems, a lot of stuff like that, working for the university.
Yeah, that's a that's a lot. The maintenance side. So we started a maintenance show Monday through Thursday where we interview superintendents, groundskeepers, irrigation specialists, turf management stuff. What'd you learn on irrigation? Did they let you like replace any heads or?
Yeah, so that's about the extent of it. I know how to replace irrigation heads, some very general stuff. Here now where we're at, I still dip my toe in there a little bit, but with all the technology that's coming across in that space now, it's kind of surpassed what I know and do from the day-to-day stuff. So
yeah,
cool.
Shout out to Garrett James and Joseph, a lot of those other guys that are on the maintenance show. That is like that. There's so much to know about maintaining turf, from combating the weeds to fertilizers, pesticides. So they just kind of threw you right in it and let you kind of work on side of the guys that run the maintenance side.
Yeah, just really like drinking water through a fire hose sometimes.
Yeah.
Just get out there and do it. I was very fortunate. I worked alongside some really good folks there. Had a great boss when I was in college, former minor league sports turf manager. So he was top of the game when it comes to all that kind of stuff. Showed me the right way how to do things, how to set your schedules, your processes, how to do all that stuff. So that was very good for me as a young person.
And then, so what did they teach you about master planning? I'm curious as to how they kind of frame that for you.
Yeah. So with that, we had the opportunity, we would go in, we would set up city council meetings. It was required. You had to attend like 2 city council meetings within this specified, whatever, like spring semester we were in. We just did research projects. We had a full semester long project, research and master plans. We'll go out, research, find a community, get to pick your community. I picked one from North Carolina, not too far where I'm from. I was able to find the group that actually designed that master plan, and it was actually a friend of one of my professors that had actually done that plan. So really got to chat with them quite a bit about that whole process, starting from the ground floor when you're talking about community engagement type stuff, the city council meetings, just all the information gathering processes, and kind of work your steps and just see that whole process.
Man, that's not a boring job, huh?
It is a lot.
At you.
Yeah, for sure.
And so looking back on it, did you ever, have any doubts that maybe this is not for me, or this is a lot or you just kind of kept trudging, going
No,
along?
I'm kind of a nerd in that aspect. I really enjoyed that stuff. I just thought it
Yeah.
was so cool because you're looking at this massive puzzle, and you just have to find all the puzzle pieces and put them together. So I thought it was very cool to see that whole process, the different steps you have to go through to kind of put it all together and make it a living, like tangible thing. So uh, we just when I first started here, we had just kind of wrapped up our master plan. So I was involved a little bit in that, but we've got another one we'll start on here within the next year. So I'm very excited to really get my hands in on it and do some really cool stuff.
Now, what was the name of that professor that you said that kind of worked with you through that?
That was, she is married now, so I don't want to. Her maiden name was Professor Shores, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's still probably her last name.
Let's see. We might need to reach out to her and get her on the show with you because what we're trying to do is to try to understand more, what the professors need, what their goal is, how they frame their classes and stuff, just to kind of expose people that are kind of looking at the profession a little bit more to the day to day of what that looks like as you're going through those sophomore, junior, senior years. That might be a good show to have you and her on there.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
same time. I think that would be good. All right. So then getting closer to graduation when you were a senior, what did that kind of last year look like?
Well, I was, pretty much out of my mind. I was like, well, I'm getting this college degree. Like, the world is mine. I'm going to slide in this job, like, all for it. So towards the end there, we actually had spring semester as part of our graduation requirement. We had to do a capstone project. So we had to do a internship as part of that project. So I walked in May, but from May pretty much to August, I did my capstone. So I was on site volunteering every day. In the meantime, I thought that I'd built quite a good resume as I was getting ready to graduate, and come to find out, I was like, there's so many people that still had that same degree that I do.
Right.
So just really trying to craft that perfect resume, I thought, to try and get it out there. But really just trying to take the time to reach out to people in the field, trying to work on my resume, getting any volunteer opportunities that I could. Looking back, I probably would have started that process a little bit earlier because I was kind of, end of junior year, started senior year. That's when it got kind of serious. And looking back now, I probably would have front loaded that a little bit better to start working a little bit earlier. But I had a great internship experience with folks up at Ripken Baseball up in Myrtle Beach. So very great resume builder there. Like I said, I'd had the job with the campus rec there, and also had a few different volunteer opportunities with some coaching and things like that. So I'd been around, athletics, on the maintenance side a little bit as well. So really just trying to figure out what thing I wanted to focus in on, what avenue, whether it be athletics or aquatics or maintenance, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, when did you discover YPN? Is that something you discovered after you started working full time, or did you know about it in college at all?
So yeah, pretty much when I started here full time, got access to NRPA, all the great resources they have over there. Really just took the dive in, just trying to get connected. My boss has always been, very adamant on anything you want to do to help your professional development, by all means do it. So I really got involved with NRPA once I kind of got my footing here. I've been able to attend the last 3 or 4 conferences now.
Which was your first one? So you went to Atlanta too, or?
Yes. So my very first one was Phoenix. I guess that was 2021.
Yeah.
And then Dallas, and then Atlanta this past year. So.
Oh yeah, I remember that one at Dallas, and then I went to the one in Atlanta. That's actually the Atlanta one was where I had semi-retired, and I was looking for my next thing, and a couple of park and rec directors kind of were supporting me creating a media company for the industry, and that's where I discovered YPN as well. At Atlanta, they were like, "Well, you need to get involved more in the YPN. That's kind of the young group." So that's why we created this show. Now, you said the person you're also active in GRPA, and they have something as well.
Yeah, so GRPA, our state association, I would say we're one of the top ones. It's top
Oh,
states now
definitely.
for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no little homegrown bias there. But no,
Hmm.
they've definitely been awesome. We've got some really great people on our education and outreach committee, and the YPN kind of falls under there. So
Hmm.
we have different networks under that. You have the YPN, you have, maintenance side, aquatic side, stuff
Hmm.
like that. But the YPN network is really just, just that. It's really a
Hmm.
way to really get connected with other young professionals, share ideas, information. We also have a mentor mentee program that was established in our
Hmm.
YPN network. So that's whenever they'll pair, I think it's 21 people a year. So you have 21 mentees and 21 mentors. So
Right.
what they do, very similar to NRPA's concept, but so you're paired with that individual for a year, and they're pretty much like your buddy. You have like once a month meetings with them. You do some in-person stuff, and really just an opportunity to connect with someone who, me in my position, maybe 10 years down the road, my goal is to be a director one day. So they try and pair you up based on, kind of your general interest, and really just gives you an opportunity to pick their brain. Say, hey, if I want to get, to this level, what would you recommend as someone sitting in my current position?
Mhm.
That's been very insightful.
Now, tell me more about the YPN that GRPA offers as far as the population. Do they have anything for college students that might be like, let's say you wanted to be more involved in GRPA or YPN or NRPA, and you're like a sophomore in college. Do you have any of those guys?
So not really at the moment. We do have the Leisure Careers Foundation,
Mhm.
which is kind of that
Hmm.
wing to help promote parks and recreation within the state. Help promote that to college kids. That's more just doing like university site visits to all the campuses here in Georgia that have parks and rec programs,
Hmm.
which unfortunately is kind of dwindling a bit. I think a lot of them have been kind of engulfed in the sports management
Hmm.
major. So true parks and rec programs are not as available, I think, as they once were.
Yeah.
But really, that's something I haven't been involved with. Hopefully, I'll get seated on that committee next year. So I really want to get out and really meet with a lot of these college kids and do some
Yeah.
work to try and get them involved early, because I know that was something that I would have really appreciated, in
Yeah.
college, as more so coming out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's go build it. I am ready.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's not there, it just means we got to build it. So I'd love to have a super healthy college student presence in both of those organizations at the state level and at the national level. And we got quite a crew just on our little LinkedIn chat. And there's several. I know Georgia's probably one of the leaders in all things young professionals. But y'all aren't alone. I think there's probably at least another dozen states and state associations that are in their first, second, or third year of doing something for that. Um, I think we could definitely, if we can find the students like you were in your sophomore year, we can definitely create a spot for them at these state associations, because I know they want to.
Absolutely, and I think GRPA kind of with some of our northern counties here. Clemson has a great Parks and Rec program up in Clemson, South Carolina, and they always send a few students down to our conferences, our state conference every year. They also send a big group down to like NRPA. So whenever I
Mhm.
see all the people walking around in the orange and purple shirts, I always make sure to find them and talk with them. They've got a great setup over there, and I've gotten to know a few of the professors, and they really do a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think that's we kind of got all the parts. It's just a matter of organizing at this point. I think the need is there, the interest is there. A lot of the hard part's done. The associations are functioning and have the interest. It's just a matter of us stitching it all together. Um, So now the last GRPA, was that or maybe it's this one's at Jekyll Island? Is that where it's coming
Uh,
up at?
yeah, so coming up in 2025, we'll be back in Jekyll Island. This past year, we were in Columbus, Georgia.
Mhm.
So Jekyll is always a fun experience. Awesome when you get to stay on the beach right there. They do a great job putting on that event there. So usually Jekyll is probably our bigger conferences because everybody just wants to go to the beach.
Right, right. And Jekyll Island is quite a historic place financially for the nation and everything. It's where a lot of stuff was formed. I have a Bitcoin podcast, and Jekyll Island's like one of these, I guess, historic places when it comes to our monetary policy and how it was built. So I can't wait to go there. When is that coming up?
That is in November. I'm actually just put my name in, trying to get on the list and get registered, but I think it's November 6th through 9th. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that. I can get you the dates for sure, but it's November
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah, it's in the works for me to attend officially as a media company. I'm trying to create like a press pass media company that can attend. Because when I went to the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, I was one of 42 media companies creating content for Bitcoin. And that's kind of when I from that conference, I was texting all my friends in Parks and Rec saying, guys, we got to make a media company for this industry. Here we've got a 16-year-old industry that's got 42 media companies on one subject. And I was like, we really don't have any media presence in general for Parks and Recreation. And yeah, so that's kind of what launched this thing. Maybe tell people what your experience is being a young professional at these conventions. We'll start with Georgia's State Association. What is that like for a new person?
Well, so going into it, when I attended my first one, they have, the conference starts on, let's say Monday, but they have kind of like NRPA, they have like a general, if this is your first conference session, general meet and greet type deal. Just really brings everyone together it's their first conference. Just let them know, hey, make sure you got your stack of business cards, be open-minded, make sure you have those conversations, ask a ton of questions, just really sharing a lot of just helpful information because, going into something like that for the first time, it can be a bit scary if you don't know exactly what you're getting into. So yeah, just try and calm your nerves, tell you what it's about, a brief overview, and just give you some helpful tips and tricks when going into something like that.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the conversations that you've had? And I can't stress how important it is and this really isn't on the to-do list. It's almost like you have to take it upon yourself to network, to eat lunch or breakfast with people. And if you're talking to a group of young professionals their first year, what advice would you give them when they're attending their first conference?
I would just say get involved. Attend every session that you can. Speak with your speakers. If you had a really great speaker, make sure you walk up and speak with them after their session. Say, hey, man, I really enjoyed that. Here's my business card. I'd love to follow up with you. And you'd be surprised how many conversations comes from that. Also, attend all your networking events, all your socials, because that's when business really gets done. Everybody's a little bit more relaxed, not all buttoned up. And I've had some really great conversations just, sitting outside of a hotel, lobby or something like that or whatnot. So that's when you can really get that one-on-one time, I would say is the best. Just attend all your networking opportunities, ask a ton of questions, and just, be present. You're there for a reason. Your agency paid money for you to go to attend this event. So make sure that you're doing your part and being active and engaged throughout that whole time.
Yeah, it really is. Those experiences are what you make of it and how much time you put into it. And 100% support that. Networking on those social events, because it's those relationships that you build that will really serve you later.
Yeah. And I know, like for me, kind of getting into it, networking was not always my greatest thing there, but, building relationships is not a one-time deal. You don't meet somebody and, you have that relationship, but it's something that now I've kind of been here in Georgia for 5 years, and you always have to work on those relationships, right? You always have to, nurture those and reach out. And now I've got friends. I might not see them 3 or 4 times a year, but hey, I know who you are. They know who I am. I always sit down, have a good conversation. So really just know that networking is not like a cut and dry, one size fits all thing, that, it's constant, communication throughout, and really takes time to build those relationships.
Yeah, I will say Parks and Rec is definitely a full contact sport. It's who you know. And especially as you get to the director level, having a strong network of other directors that you can lean on in those first few years is critical to understanding everything Parks and Rec. Now, is there now how about the national event? What was your first few years experience on that one?
Oh man, so my very first one in Phoenix, that was kind of the first normal one, I guess, coming out of COVID. I think
Right.
there were about 7,000 people there. So I
Yeah.
walked into that convention center and I was just overwhelmed. I was like, holy crap. Like, there are a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
people
a
here.
lot.
So going to that session, your first conference session, going into that, you get to see a lot of people who are sitting in the same spot you are, usually younger people, kind of lower level, mid-tier employees. Really just, make friends there. And then, you find your buddy, you share contact info, then just go from there. Usually you'll say, hey man, I'm sitting at this conference room at 11 o'clock. You should come in and sit with me during this session. So just really trying to make those connections. Met a lot of people from all across the country, from, agencies like, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, down to some of these smaller departments that are, villages or townships, in the Northeast. So it's been really cool to see, I guess, the whole landscape of that. But it was a little bit intimidating going into it for the first time, not knowing what to expect. But I will say that NRPA does a great job of really trying to push the people to, really get out there, promote yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah, and so people that haven't been, maybe explain to them the vendor hall. That's always, one of the funner parts, where you get to meet the industry that serves the industry. But for someone that's never seen it, what is that? You describe that for us.
Oh man, it is like Disney World for parks and recreation professionals.
Yeah, great
And
description.
you see these massive playground structures, it's crazy. You got all these fun games. You've got, looks like, endless suppliers. You have, uniform vendors, equipment suppliers, anything you can think of related to parks and rec, athletics, maintenance, aquatics. Just a lot of free gear. I always enjoy going around and collecting all the merch there, and playing the puzzle there, the little game where you go by each vendor and get their stamp on it. They give away a lot of really great prizes. I haven't won anything yet, so still hoping to do that. But the the exhibition hall, it's really awesome, and it's really hard to explain if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Just know that it is like an extravaganza when you walk in there. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I love the way you describe it. It literally is like Disney World for parks and recreation. It's something to see. All right, so now, how do you pronounce? Is it Valdosta, Georgia?
Valdosta, yeah.
Valdosta.
Could be my southern accent on how I pronounce that. But
Yeah,
Valdosta,
yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah, from being from down in New Orleans, we have that kind of that southern draw. But yes, y'all have 120,000. Maybe tell us about the department you're working with now.
Yeah, so here in Valdosta, we're actually a Parks and Recreation Authority, which here within the state of Georgia is not too prevalent. I think there's only about 7 here within the state. But
Describe that. So what is a Parks and Rec Authority? How is that structure?
So a lot of times you would have the city of Valdosta Parks and Recreation Department, and then you would have a county Parks and Recreation Department, which would be like Lowndes County. but we are actually one entity. So we serve
Mm.
Valdosta and Lowndes County. Our funding mechanism is a little bit different than most. We have a dedicated millage tax that we receive for our funding. We're kind of our own separate entity. We have, in-house HR, in-house finance. We have a director, all that. But it's a pretty unique system that we have. I think they're more prevalent probably out in your Pacific Northwest or up in your Midwest. Looking at Illinois and Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. Some of those are pretty prominent over there.
Yeah, we have one of those in my backyard, Breck Park. That's the Baton Rouge area, and it's kind of a, city parish parks and rec department. They have their own taxes, not sharing it with anybody. But I love how big those can get. Maybe describe what y'all are a full service parks and rec department as far as having senior care, youth sports, all that mess.
Yeah, so we have youth sports, which is our biggest. We do all the sports: baseball, softball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, football. We have our own therapeutics division, which services people with special needs, people with physical, mental disabilities. We have our senior centers. We have tons of senior programs. So we're really a one-stop shop when it comes to recreation. We have from 8 to 80. We have programs for you here.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play a little short commercial that we made for the Young Professionals Network. We designed this about a month ago, so we need to put together a version 2 of this, but and then we come back and chat about it a little bit. Hold on, let me roll this real quick.
The future of parks and recreation is here, and it starts with you. Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show, where we bring you the latest insights, trends, and conversations shaping the world of parks and recreation. Today, we're diving into something that's shaping the future of our industry, Young Professional Networks, or YPN. If you love your job and love the parks and recreation community and are looking to connect with the next generation of leaders, this episode is for you. YPN is where driven, passionate professionals come together to connect, grow, and make a real impact. It's not just about networking, it's about building the future of our communities. Why join YPN? Career growth and mentorship. Learn from the best in the industry. Innovative ideas and collaboration. Be part of the next big movement. Leadership development. Take charge, make decisions, and create change. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, YPN is your gateway to success. From exclusive networking opportunities to cutting-edge industry insights, this is where you build your legacy. Because the future of parks and recreation starts with you.
All right. So I think it was Chris that made that one. He's one of our designers, videographers on the back end. But so what does your day-to-day look like?
Oh man, it changes seasonally where we're at. Right now we're prepping for summer soccer season. So I've been kind of crammed up in the office, crunching numbers, emailing coaches, that sort of thing as of right now. But as we kind of get the ball rolling on that, I'm more flexible. I'm in and out of the office a lot more, going out, setting up fields, covering practices if I need to or anything. But day to day, I'm probably 50% in the office, 50% outside. So I like having that flexibility. Answer a lot of phone calls, emails, do all the admin work. I try and get that done, usually by 12, 1 o'clock. And then after lunch is when I'm prepping for whatever we have going on, that afternoon. So.
And then I'm assuming your director knows what your kind of vision is for yourself, for your own future. Are they kind of exposing you to, everything that goes on, so you get a little bit of everything?
Yeah. From the beginning, my boss, my supervisor, he's been great, as well as our director. They see that, I really want to learn and grow and get my hands kind of in a bit of everything. So I've been very fortunate to have leaders that see that, get to sit in on, meetings, whether it be, bid openings or going to our authority board meetings, getting to speak at those meetings, a bunch of different stuff on that end, showing me, how do you handle the public? How do you handle a public meeting or something like that? Just having the opportunities to just go be part of the conversation and really be in there where business is being done. So it's been very cool. I know that it's not like that everywhere. So very fortunate to have some good people above me that see my interest and, are excited to push me along the way.
Yeah, I'm really glad you see that it's not like that everywhere. In a lot of professions, if you want to move up, it's almost like you're fighting an uphill battle and no one wants to help you. But in this industry, it's like if you have the desire to rise up to leadership among the ranks, they have no problem throwing you in there with the rest of them. What's it like as far as I'm assuming you still feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, huh?
At some points, yes, but I've always had the mentality. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So
Yeah.
always push yourself, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and it might not feel great in that moment. You might have some nerves, might feel like you're kind of the low man on the totem pole. Sometimes that you're unimportant, but you got to take those as learning and growing opportunities.
Yeah.
So just really trying to get involved and soak all of that in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I tell you, it is very unique in the industries, because it seems like in other places, it's just it can be a big challenge. But here, the challenge is actually you saying that and then trying to withstand everything they throw at you because it's constantly changing. Now, where does that come from as far as was that just through youth sports or, as a kid, were your parents like that?
Really, I would say I've always been pretty self-motivated. I loved
Mhm.
sports as a kid. That was definitely my outlet. And I just have had the mentality, whatever you do a great job at it. Work
Yeah.
your butt off. There's no exception. Just always work very hard. Set goals for yourself, and don't ever sell yourself short. So just really going in and having your vision, your goals that you want to accomplish, and just keep chipping away at it every single day.
Oh man, with that attitude, you're definitely going to get there. Uh, just keep at it. Don't give up. All right. So how is your why developing? What's the driving force behind you, still keeping yourself in this industry and pushing forward?
Yeah, I would say, just providing kids with opportunities. I grew up in a rural area. We did not have a great established parks and recreation department like I am currently working in. And I've seen a lot, from a very young age, the kids who were involved in sports, they really flourished. They played sports. They also made good grades because that was kind of an accountability piece. Right. And then seeing, being in a rural area, not having options to play, a whole lot or a bunch of different avenues to have recreation, things can kind of go by the wayside sometimes. So just really providing opportunities for the kids that need them. 'Cause like I said, that was very important for me growing up. I really got involved as a young kid playing baseball. I made a lot of friends that way. Got a lot of friends that I still talk to this day through, all my athletics experience and time. So just really the why is just trying to make something really great for these kids to enjoy. Just give them
Mhm.
that outlet that I had.
Yeah. Now, how many kids do y'all push through y'all's department a year, you think, through all the different
Oh man,
athletic programs?
that's tough. I would probably say mm, probably 3 to 5,000, somewhere in that
Wow.
range.
Yeah.
We have
That's a
about
lot of baseball games. There's a lot of games, tournaments, you name it.
Yeah, we have 3 soccer seasons a year, so we're probably around 1,500 in that. We have our basketball program. We have about 1,100 kids there. Probably another 800 with football. We do volleyball twice a year, so probably another 500, give or take. So pretty big department. We do a lot. It gets very very busy around this time and kind of leading up to fall. So it's a big
Yeah.
job, but we all enjoy it. We've got a great group of folks here that have been doing it for a long time.
Now, tell me about your like staff size. How big is the whole department?
So we have 29 full-time staff.
Mhm.
We probably have, I would say, 100 plus part-time staff, just depending on kind of where we're at seasonally. And that includes, scorekeepers, officials. We have full-time groundskeepers, but we also have part-time groundskeepers for, high school and college age kids just looking to get some work during the summer. So it kind of fluctuates season to season, but when we're wide open, probably 100 to 120 part-time staff, and then with our 29 full-time.
So and we can talk more about the in the office stuff, but let's say you're stepping out of the office, you've got a big tournament going on. What does that day kind of look like? Or how involved are you in all that?
Yeah. So operationally, I'm just looking at, all right, I know we've got, 6 fields going to be going on this afternoon or this
Wow.
weekend. So just doing a lot of that pre-work, just making sure that everything that you have your checklist and that you're going through each one of those kind of line items on there. I'm a big checklist guy. I like writing everything down, checking off the tasks. So just really making sure, staff knows where they're supposed to be, knows what they're supposed to be doing. Making sure that fields are set up correctly, depending on, we have a bunch of different age ranges that we service. So making sure that, the right teams are playing on the right fields, and just really communication from top down, just making sure all the staff knows their assignments, making sure all the coaches know what they're supposed to be doing. And then, pushing that plan out to our maintenance staff so they know, what fields are being utilized, depending on how many fields we're using will depend on how many maintenance staff we have there at any given time. It could change day to day, some tournaments days, we do field prep, specifically for tournaments. We're prepping fields in between games or every 2 games, making sure that all that stuff's taken care of. So really just going through your checklist and just a ton of communication, just trying to make sure everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and when they're supposed to be doing it.
Now, I imagine with 3,000 to 5,000 kids coming through, you've got quite a population of coaches. How do y'all communicate with them? What do y'all kind of offer them, prepare them kind of stuff?
Yeah. So my main form of communication with them is just emails, huge listservs. I try and send out, probably 2 to 3 times a week. Hey, this is what we have going on. We have this, and this on Tuesday, or we've got picture day coming up. This is what you need to pass on to the parents. Just really trying to keep that constant contact. Just we're giving them instructions on things that we have going on. And then from, a coaching standpoint, we are all volunteer based. So all volunteer coaches for all of our programs, just like many other departments. One big push I've really been trying to do is make sure that we get the coaches the resources they need to feel prepared as they're going into practices and things like that. Shared a few apps, and we've got some paperwork packets that we share with all of our coaches on, just helpful information, whether it be, age appropriate drills for soccer or how to communicate with parents effectively, just kind of helpful things. I've been really working with kind of our high school coaches a lot more, trying to get some coaches clinics and things done, prepped up for maybe our fall season, because that's always helpful. We have really good volunteer coaches, and then we have some coaches that have never coached before, but they just want to be out there with their kid. So still making sure that we serve everybody effectively. And I think really getting involved with the coaches clinics and stuff with the high schools is a great resource for us here. And we do have a college here as well, Valdosta State University. So really getting tied in with the college folks as well, trying to plan some clinics and just different things for the coaches to enjoy.
Now, how do y'all incorporate the college athletics? Do you have like college coaches and college players that are, come and just help coach, or just like you said, put it on clinics? What does that look like?
So they're more clinic based. We just had a volleyball clinic here in the spring. We lined it up with the volleyball coach at VSU. Said, hey,
Mhm.
we've had interest from several of our volunteer coaches. Some of them are new to the sport. They'd really love a good clinic session on whether it be formulating practice plans or those age appropriate drills. We'll bring them in like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. They'll go over to their facility. Sometimes they may come out to our facility. It's kind of what we're planning on some of the baseball, soccer stuff here coming up in the fall. Really just take a day, have the coaching staff out, have our coaches out there, just give them an opportunity to Q&A pretty much.
Mhm.
They'll show them some drills. And then the camps here, we have, big high schools and the college here. They do sports camps all throughout the summer. That's a really big fundraiser for them. So we've got it worked out where they can register. If you are a participant in our program, you can sign up and register with a little bit of a discounted rate. So
Mhm.
that's something very good to get, our population, our participants, get them into a camp for a little bit of a reduced cost and really just, learn something new. Because, these high school and college coaches, they do it for a living. And, down south, sports are a very big thing.
Yeah.
So we try and get them involved as much as we can and use our resources.
Yeah, I know in a lot of the parts of the country, it's a lot of parks, and they do have some recreation. But man, in the South, it's like there's so much sports stuff going on. Maybe describe what it's like to live in the South with that sports focus to people that maybe don't have as much of that.
Oh man, well, it can be challenging at times for sure.
Mhm.
Specifically here in Valdosta, we are very big on football. We are
Mhm.
Titletown USA, with all the success that Valdosta High has had.
What is
Uh,
that? What is that title town? That mean?
So Titletown, this you may not remember, or you may. There was a few brief years back in the early, like 2008, 9, 10, somewhere that
Mhm.
range, where ESPN actually did the Titletown series. And in 2008, Valdosta was awarded Titletown USA, and I think Green Bay, Wisconsin won. I think they won it in 2007. But
Mm.
it's just really to promote the athletic excellence that your community has had. We're very big in football. Valdosta High School, they're actually not quite sure what the number is now, but they were the winningest all-time football program in North America. And I think Michigan, has probably surpassed them now with, how they've been doing in football the last couple of years. But, very big, very high standards and expectations from the community. Everyone is involved. Everybody's going to be the next big quarterback,
Yep.
the next big baseball player. We've had a ton of success, like I said, the high school as well as the collegiate level. Valdosta State as well, one of the best Division II athletic departments in the country with football, and just won another national championship in tennis. So the expectations are high, and we've had a lot of people leave from here and go on to play college, both in college and professionally. So everybody has that goal, that dream to be where they're at, and very fortunate here that a lot of those folks do come back to town. They do give back through different projects, camps, and things like that. So really having kind of that interaction at the local level, I think, is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a guest on the show. Shout out to Ryan Brewer. He's the director over in Durant, Oklahoma. And to his knowledge, they did a write-up with NRPA for what he's doing. He had this idea, actually it was somebody he was working with had an idea to do a month-long festival, and that's like 5 weeks long, I think, just bringing every type of athletic, sports, whatever to do, and they brought in all these other tournaments and sports, and it's just to kind of highlight all things sports related inside of Parks and Rec. And he's on his second year, but I'll have to connect you with him. Not that y'all need another special event, which we can talk about that. What do y'all do as far as special events, and what's your involvement in that?
Special events, I'm not so much involved with that. We do have a designated staff member that does that. We have the Azalea Festival, which is very big in town here. We put on a 5K race, kind of involved with the festival there. We do like pop-up movie in the park nights all throughout the summer. Also do a jingle jog 5K around Christmas time, some really cool stuff like that. We do a big fireworks show every 4th of July that we're involved in, working with the fire department and a couple other local entities to put that on there. We do quite a bit of sports tourism here, so kind of unique to our area. We are the Parks and Recreation Department, but we also are the sports wing of our tourism, DMO kind of agency here. So we own all the facilities. So we're the ones going out. We're recruiting tournaments. We have 40 weekends a year booked at our softball complex. We just opened a brand new soccer facility here about 2 years ago now. Really working on filling that up. So we do a lot. I'm very involved on the tournament side of things, whether it be from recruitment, going to trade shows, meeting with vendors, all that kind of stuff, and then all the way down to the operational piece. Putting it together, working with the tournament directors, with hotel rooms, different things like that.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that, because I know as parks departments struggle with cost recovery and sustainability and that kind of stuff, and these sports tourism can be a massive economic driver that can come back to help fund the parks department. But what else can you say about this being a big economic driver for the industry?
Well, if you're not doing it, you should be doing it,
Yeah.
because nothing makes those local elected officials happier than knowing that the $1 we spent at Parks and Rec comes back to your community tenfold when you're bringing in this weekend we've got a 60-team adult softball tournament coming in. So, the community feels that impact. Might not necessarily mean that our agency is directly, getting more money, but, the hotel, the bed tax, all the money that's spent at restaurants, shopping, and all that. So it really just kind of solidifies your, essential need in the community, because we not only serve, our local constituents, which is our main goal, but we also can benefit tenfold from the tourism stuff that we're doing as well. So that's a really big driver in our community, and the local officials definitely see the impacts of that. So they're very much on board with what we're doing, and that helps when you're looking at maybe facility expansion or anything like that. They're more kind of apt to, well, let's take another look at this here. You guys are doing a great job of what you're doing. We don't mind maybe putting a little extra towards that facility you guys want.
Yeah. So if you are interested in, and maybe you can give kind of a quick tips to somebody, another agency trying to grow their sports tourism. Let's say they got a big complex and it's maybe not full year round. What are some kind of things you've learned about, filling those weekends up? That's amazing. Would you say you had 42 weekends out of a year?
Yep. So 40, I think we'll be at 40 this year. We did lose a couple months back in the fall with the hurricane, but it's a relationship business at the end of the day. With us specifically, we're very fortunate. We get to go out to several trade shows a year. We're very big in the connect meetings, sports ETA, things like that. If you meet with your mayor or your commissioners or whoever's kind of in charge of your department, really pitch them the idea. This is really a viable thing, a really big moneymaker, for our community. And we've just our board has seen that. Our commissioners and elected officials see that. So they're all in on it. They really support us with getting that trade show, helping us pay for trade shows and travel and things like that. But just get out there and network. That's the biggest thing. Highlight your agency, highlight your community, all the benefits, whether it be you've got, all these great restaurants, or you've got all these, you might have an amusement park or whatever, but really just work with your local officials. And maybe if you have a CVB or a DMO in your community, really get in their ear and say, hey, we could we could really do something special with the sports tourism side of things.
All right, so y'all are actually actively involved with recruiting tournaments to come here. So maybe describe what's a might have lost him. Let's see if he comes back. Let's see. Well, hopefully we can get Chandler back to kind of discuss. I want to find out more about recruiting tournaments, what that looks like, what makes a bad one, what makes a good one. We'll just kind of hang out here for a second while we wait for Chandler to maybe come back. Well, we might have lost him. All right. So while we're waiting on hopefully the tech thing to fix itself, I'd just like to talk a little bit more about the Young Professionals Network. Again, this is a Friday show every Friday, 12 noon. And these are the 5 populations that we are kind of targeting. So, not just the college kids, kind of like Chandler was when he was pursuing a degree, but also if you're a high school kid, there's actually a lot of strong internship programs that work with high school kids interested in the industry. That's definitely the younger group that we want to expose more to the Young Professionals Network and the career path of Parks and Recreation. And then also, where Chandler was at, where was he at? East Carolina. So if you're a college kid, student, excuse me. Oh, wait, here we go. We might have him back. Let's see if he pops back up. Yeah, so high school kids, there are internship programs out there for you to get exposed to that. Of course, a ton of part-time jobs. Let's see if we can add him back. You back?
We're back. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I was actually going through the 5 populations that we're looking at working with, that we're building with when it comes to young professionals, the high school kids. So maybe you can speak a little bit about how a high schooler, 17 or 18 years old, that maybe is looking for some exposure to consider this as a career path. There's tons of stuff you can do just as a part-time worker to get that kind of exposure. Maybe talk a little bit about those part-timers.
Yeah. So Parks and Recreation jobs are a lot of kids, first jobs. That's what we're seeing, whether it be starting out as a part-time, pool supervisor or sports official, anything like that. We hire a lot of, high school, college age kids, for scorekeepers, officials, things like that. It's a really great opportunity to get in. Really can be hands-on in it. You can learn a lot from the skills that you learn, from being a sports official are very transferable for anything else you want to do. That's, managing conflict, knowing how to deal with people, things like that. But yeah, just reach out to your local parks department. I know there are a lot of athletes, former athletes that still want to kind of be involved doing some different things. It really provides some great opportunities there. Pretty surprising, how, what's all out there if you really, look into it. But Parks Department, it was my first job as a kid, actually. I got into, officiating some baseball when I was a senior in high school. So that was my first kind of intro into it.
Yeah, you really haven't lived until you've been officiate like an umpire or something for that, and you've got all the parents and the kids. It's quite chaotic. Maybe what was that experience like? The first game you were ever officiated?
Oh, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but unfortunately, it was some coach pitch. So I was dealing with like some 5 and 6 year olds.
Oh, I love it.
Made all the calls. I knew pretty much, all the rules, so we didn't have, any real issues. But it was quite interesting. Really, you got to find your voice. You got to find your authority there. Being an official, you lay down the law, and they have to, agree with it or move on. So just really taking that as a leadership opportunity there.
Yeah, what a great experience that is for. Now, how old were you back then? Was that 18, 17, 18?
Yeah, I was 17, I think. Yeah.
Wow. I can't imagine a 17-year-old being out there. But the 5-year-olds, man, that's a fun population to work with.
Just, hey, make it fun for the kids, have fun while you're out there too. Like keep them engaged, give them a high five every now and then, something like that. Just be loose, have fun with it.
Yeah. Shout out to Aaron Locks. We do a weekly show just on youth sports mastery. And we had a doctor on, I think our last episode, and he was like, the most important thing you can do is to make sure your kids have fun, because if they don't even want to come back next year, then you're to blame. You know, it needs to be fun for the kids. It should be mostly returning athletes that are participating, which is a good testimony to that they must have had a good time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another big one I forgot to mention earlier, volunteer coaching. That's another great opportunity to get in there. You know, we've got, you know, some part-time staff that have been working with us, you know, for a few years now, and they come to me, they're like, hey, do you need any extra coaches for soccer this season or for baseball? You know, they're kind of nearing the end of their college experience, and you know, being a volunteer coach is a great way to give back. You'd be surprised how much you learn, you know, just through that process. You know, dealing with parents, being organized, like I said, all very transferable skills to anything you want to do outside of just Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe we're already pushing up against the end of the show. I have a question for you. So we have a little tradition that we've started. Let's see. So from Matthew Vanderkamp. So here's what you need to do. You need to come up with a question for the next person I interview. And from Matthew, this is his question to you. What inspirational quote energizes you, and what does it mean to you?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Thank Matthew for that one.
Let's see here. You know, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mentioned that earlier. You know, get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, you only grow in those type of environments. So, you know, put yourself out there, you know, put yourself in a state that, you know, you can always learn and grow from. Might not be comfortable at that moment, but you'll really appreciate it once you kind of get through it and get down the road a bit.
Yeah. And just to build on that a little bit, it's in that discomfort that you have a lot of growth, and it shouldn't be something you steer away from. I almost steer into it, because you definitely will grow a lot. What a great quote that was. All right. So what question are you leaving for the next guy?
I'm going to be a bit off the wall here.
I love it.
What song would you use to describe your work ethic?
Oh, that's a good. What song would you use to describe your work ethic?
I got hit with that one in an interview one time, so that was very interesting.
All right, I got to hear your answer to this one.
I think it was that's the song, the Rihanna song at the time was very popular. The song "Work, Work, Work." I was just like off the dome. I was just like, all right, well, I love to work. I work hard. So I just threw that one out there.
That might be my favorite question that's been left so far. I can't wait to see what my next guest thinks about that one. All right. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate, you know, all your efforts and stuff. And you know, definitely let's keep posted with your career. I think you're going to be in a director seat before you know it. And let's get busy building this young professionals network nationwide. I'm really excited about this.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on, Craig. We had to battle a few little technical difficulties there, but we made it and we did a good job.
That's it. We'll work past it. Well, man, have a great weekend. Try not to work too hard. Enjoy yourself. Don't forget to have fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Take care. Good having you on the show.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye. All right. What a great guy that was. Chandler is one of our up and coming all-stars in the Young Professionals Network, just giving his testimony of what it's like to be in Parks and Rec for the first few years, his college experience. I'd love to get his professor on with him to kind of talk about the programs, or not necessarily the programs, but the classes, the exposure that they give their students, the outside of classroom exposure, the real experiences they can get by just getting involved in a Parks and Rec department, building your resume, but also just confirming that, hey, this is where I want to spend the rest of my life. And I would definitely encourage any kid to take a hard look at the industry of parks and recreation. It is, gosh, in my opinion, one of the best place to grow professionally, personally, because you're always faced with trying to organize the chaos of parks and recreation. And it is such a diverse field of expertise. On your day one, your year one, your five, you're still drinking from a fire hose. And actually, I have interviewed some 30 and 40-year veterans to this industry, and I think they'll all back me up on this, that you are learning till the very end. There's always something left to master. There's tons of mastery that goes along with parks and recreation. I mean, you can master aquatics, you can master a graveyard, you can master a farmer's market, but you've got special events, you've got master planning, you've got urban forestry, all of which requires you. I've even have directors that go and get a construction management degree so that they can help manage all the projects coming in. So if you're looking for something that's challenging, exciting, and actually leaves you feeling great because you know you're leaving a legacy, making a difference in young kids' life, building community. Sorry, that's my mascot taking off there. but yeah, great industry. And I love this show. This is actually a show that's near and dear to my heart. I built a mentorship program that worked with college kids, operated the Leadership Training Academy, which paired mentors and young college students. And so I love working with this age, the next level of leaders coming in. And I think the state associations and the national associations are taking this very seriously. And I think we've got a lot of good work ahead of us in building a young professionals network. And when I say young professionals, it's high schoolers, volunteering, experience in the industry, coaching, a lot what Chandler said. Also the college students, you heard Chandler's experience and how he got exposed to working in the departments outside the classroom in college. And then now he's that first 1 to 5 years. So remember there's 5 groups: college, high school, college, first 1 to 5 years, but there's 2 other groups. And I want to get them here on the show. The next group is, of course, mentors, professors, teachers, the adults that have taken on as part of their mission in Parks and Rec to, help mentor and teach and bring along and train and even recruit the next generation of great Parks and Rec leaders. That's population number 4. The 5th population, and these are some rare people. So if you were listening to this and you know anyone that has a very strong or an internship program, and I know 3, and I think they're all fighting for that top slot. But I would say what Thomas White is doing over in Henry County, Georgia, what Nick Campion is doing at Danvers, Massachusetts, and shout out to Molly, the current president of YPN, who was supposed to be on today's show, but she had some aquatics catastrophe. Catastrophes are just like what Parks and Rec directors do for lunch every day. But so she couldn't make so, but she'll be here next Friday. I know Molly will figure out whatever she's up against right now, but she is the current president of YPN for NRPA. And they are running great internship programs. So that 5th population, I really want to network and grow. Who are the departments, the Park and Rec departments that have good, strong internship programs for guys like Chandler when he was in college. And let's kind of create a framework that we can kind of give to the rest of the world, hold what y'all are doing up as an example. I think that's going to be a critical component of building the Young Professionals Network. So, all right, this is our last show for the week. We had a great week. And some of the shows we made this week, they just keep getting better and better. I'd like to think we're getting a little bit better at the Daily Parks and Rec show of telling the story of Parks and Rec, understanding all the different components of Parks and Recreation. And I know on our end, we're having a blast doing it. So it's such an honor to build the first, I think the only media company dedicated to Parks and Recreation, and the Young Professionals Network. Our Friday show is a big part of that I want to see grow. So thank y'all for all the love and support that y'all are giving us. Thank y'all for all the follows. I think we're getting ready to cross, after only 5 months, 1,000 followers just on our new LinkedIn account. So that's a big deal for us. And then also trying to grow that YouTube channel, just the content library. Hopefully we're making something that's valuable for you. If you are a director, an assistant director, I'd love to have you on our leadership show. That's our Monday through Thursday show, 12 noon Eastern. If you are in park maintenance, shout out to all of my supporters in park maintenance. Man, that's a beast of a show there. That's every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Please check that out and consider contributing to the conversation around park maintenance. Of course, we just have today our YPN, and then shout out to Aaron Lux and everything he's doing for our Thursday show. We got a lot of great stuff coming on, and our newest edition next, let's see, second Wednesday of every month, Henry County, Georgia, is we're helping them produce a podcast. This is they consider themselves the best run park department. And I know these might be fighting words, but they consider themselves the best run park department in America, Henry County, Georgia. We're making a podcast for them monthly, second Wednesday of every month. Can't wait to produce that for them. And you get to see all the leaders in a park department there. And kind of pull the curtain back and see how they run it. So lots of exciting stuff going on with the Daily Parks and Rec show. All right, you guys have an awesome weekend. Love you guys. Thank y'all for all the service that y'all are doing for our communities, keeping them beautiful, keeping them functioning. Y'all have an awesome weekend. Bye.
The future of parks and recreation is here, and it starts with you. Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show, where we bring you the latest insights, trends, and conversations shaping the world of parks and recreation. Today, we're diving into something that's shaping the future of our industry, young professional networks, or YPN. If you love your job and love the parks and recreation community and are looking to connect with the next generation of leaders, this episode is for you. YPN is where driven, passionate professionals come together to connect, grow, and make a real impact. It's not just about networking, it's about building the future of our communities. Why join YPN? Career growth and mentorship. Learn from the best in the industry. Innovative ideas and collaboration. Be part of the next big movement. Leadership development. Take charge, make decisions, and create change. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, YPN is your gateway to success. From exclusive networking opportunities to cutting-edge industry insights, this is where you build your legacy. Because the future of parks and recreation starts with you.